Good morning, legends. We've got a fun video to go through here. It's going to be every single potential option. Now that the first 2 games are done in Vegas, we have 6 games remain. Going to go through all those options, just short and sharp to cover the guns, the value guys, and then all in once. And then we're going to go for the cashies at the end of this video. So yeah, big thanks to everyone who's watching these Supercoach ones. And I hope you had a cracking start to your first 2 games and didn't do what I did and had Burbo on the non-player. So that was good. Had him, but non-player in my side. So good stuff on that front. I did start with Terrell May though. Happy days. So we'll kick it off with the hooking guns, guys. So we did speak about them in a little bit more depth last week, but this is what we're left with. And you got the, I had Smith in there just to talk about him because he was the guy, if you did take him, like myself, he scored all right. Picked up a 40-20. Hopefully he does keep that in his score there of 48. But he's the guy, right? That's the mid-range. That if you started with him, awesome. But the question now is, do you start with one of the cheaper guys, which we'll speak about in a sec, later in the video? And yeah, with the Eels situation, it's a bit hard. So do you select Grant? If you didn't go with Smith, do you just go for Grant and like a Levi or a Malison or something like that? Do you just stick with like a Joey Lussick or most likely him because he's the starter? Do you go for Coruscant and save a little bit at 572? Do you go for Jeremy Marshall-King or a Robson or potentially an Egan? They're the guys I've got in that list there in the hooker guns. And really the question mark there is, do you have someone that can cover Grant in round 4 if you go for him? Appy, you obviously need someone to score this week. So I think the Brandon Smith Appy play kind of works because you've already got Brandon Smith playing. And then Appy you can have just on that bench as a non-player this week. So that's the potential option with Coruscant. Marshall-King, you need someone to cover in round 3, so that makes it tough. Robson, you get the whole way through until Origin, and then similar, same with Egan on that front as well. So that's where we're looking at with those potential options, guys, in the gun section. As I said, we'll get to the cash cows, but there's not a lot there. And do you trust the Danny Levi situation with Sticky? That's the big question mark that you got to answer for yourself in that one. So that's the hooking position there. Move to the halves there, and it's Hines and Cleary up top. I think going for a Moses or a Johnson is a cracking option as well. So they're probably the 4 that I'd be looking at in that gun section. I'm personally going to go with Hines and Cleary, and you'll get my team revealed tomorrow. The full one for the overall and the head-to-head side, which, as I said, guys, the head-to-head world is what I'm going to focus a lot of my content on. Obviously, this first bunch of weeks, the head-to-head side doesn't matter as much because you're looking for good points and you're looking for value. But as we sort of transition from round 6, 7, 8, getting closer to the bye period, then we'll be able to focus a little bit more on the head-to-head side of things, and the guys that you will look to target may be slightly different to that of the overall, just a little bit of a point of difference on this channel. So yeah, as a big thanks to you guys for watching the Supercoach stuff. We will have a little bit on overall and a bit on head-to-head as well, so I cover both bases for you. But they're the top tier options in Hines and Cleary. Moses and Johnson, if you don't have that amount of cash, I think are both really great options that you could slot in. But good to see Hines is named and he'll be fine, which is exactly what we needed, that's for sure. With that news, it would have been a bit of turmoil in the Supercoach community if Hines wasn't named, that's for sure. And the value picked, I've still only got Tanner Boyd in there. Anyone that has played in the last couple of games has been deleted from this list, and I had to add sort of 1 or 2 guys as potential options in our sides as well. So the 5'8" gun position, I suppose the main worry here, guys, is Cam Munster at 728. So is he actually going to play on the weekend? It sounds like he's still dealing with that osteus pubis that he was dealing with last year. And that could be a reason for his lack of 74 or 81 average that he had in the 2 years prior. Doesn't have Blore with him at the moment. That was my notes from before, and it's Joe Chant who we'll speak about as well. But Munster, I think you can leave out at this point. There are a couple of mid-range options, which I spoke about last week, and I've actually found a way to kind of maneuver my team around given the team list that we just had on offer. But Dylan Brown is a very, very strong option. Didn't do a lot in that trial. They went right a lot, but he looked like he was a man on a mission in a trial game. So that's impressive to see with Dillbags Brown. And hopefully he can be a really, really strong scorer across the entire season for us with that 76.5 average. Hoping for the same. As we said, Metcalf and Trindle, both solid options. With Hines being there now, Trindle is a little bit less of an option. But I still think that they can start well, and Trindle can be a guy that does pick up some try assists, gets involved, because he is a very good player at that. And Metcalf, you're jumping on him being an improved player. and the team rolling as well. So I think that he could do really well, and definitely someone that you want to look at as well. We'll go to the front row forward position, guys. I've taken out a few, as I said. A few of them have played in the Payne Hasses and the like, and a lot of mid-ranges as well. So the guns here, I've got Cotter as that sort of borderline gun with the dual position that could work really well for your side. That's for sure at 542. So he's up top there. You got Tino just because he's the dominant man. You've got Joe Tups. It sounds like, I was just listening to him talk to the reporters yesterday, that this is like his fullest preseason in a long time. So I think that minutes could be there from the jump rather than building up to it mid-season. That's something to note. Could be hearsay, but he looked great in that All-Stars trial, that's for sure. So he's someone to look at 656 if you need to go up. But Cotter could be that high range in that front row forward position for sure, with Adam Fanua-Blake in there as well. Obviously, if he can score lots of tries again, he'll be great, but I didn't see the upside on top of that current average and the price that you're getting him at. And then for the front row forward value picks, there's not many left, so most of them played. And if you're looking at guys that are left, over 400k, it's Tom Flegler and it's Jason Taumalolo, in my opinion. Hopefully you did pick up one or two, and if you did, then you don't have to worry about this. But we'll find out what's happening with Spencer Leniu very soon, and if he's, if you didn't end up taking him and he's rubbed out of the the next bunch of games, then these guys could be an option. And then you could downgrade like this week, and then you could downgrade Spencer next week. That could be like a little bit of a play for you. Up to you on that one though. So Flegs has a bit more upside, I think, and could be a sort of set and forget guy all the way through to Origin. Taumalolo, we're looking at some bounce back for him. As I said, the PPM was an issue last year. Even if the minutes were to stay, which I think they will, then his PPM needs to jump. Will he do that? That's the big question. In the 2RF guns there, I've got Eli Katoa up top. I just think that he has a bit more upside, obviously, even with a tougher start to the year on that right side with Jerome Hughes. He could be a guy that does really, really well for you and your side. I think he'll score a few more tries this year and get closer to a 70 average. Britton Nickera, very, very solid. You know what you're going to get from him, that 70 average. And then Hopgood, I think he's priced accordingly, but he's top tier, 748k. If you need someone in that position up top, then he's the play. The 2RF value position is an interesting one now. So you had Tupanua and Piakura both get very, very low scores for anyone who grabbed them. I'm in the Piakura camp, sadly. But these kind of guys here, we're not sure what's going to happen with Sean Lane. Does he get the full 80 minutes? So I've dropped him down one. I think Bert Moore goes ahead of Lane now, just because we know, last time he played, he looked really dominant. In that trial, he looked really good as well. Got a bunch of tackle breaks, and he'll play 80 minutes there, you'd imagine, especially with Fafita being out. So Fermor is the top of the list, even with a bye round 2. I think you can cover it fairly easily. Sean Lane at 446 with, he's just so cheap. That's the thing with Laney. So you could look to still just hold on to him. But if you did need to remove him from your side, I do understand that. And I'm kind of flirting with removing him, adding in like a Joe Chan. Could be a potential option at this stage. I still think he's going to do well across the season. It's just, is it going to happen from round 1? Or is he going to build up to some minutes and go from there? So that's the kind of theory with Shawnee. You've then got Hosking comes into calculations, given Whitehead's going to be out for 3 to 4 weeks. So with this calf injury, could be longer. We know calves are pretty niggly. So for him, he averaged 50 in 62 minutes. If he can go above that, and I think he will, should get close to that 80 minutes for these first 4 weeks before Whitehead comes back. They don't really have the edge cover on that bench. Then Hosking could be a guy that hits you close to that 60, which would give you some value on that at 5'11". It's not too much to go up, but I can understand why you would leave him out. Curran, just a quick update on him. Still named on the bench, 421. It's not the worst. I still expect sort of 45 to 50 minutes. So if you're interested in him, that's cool. Vil Kickhouse, 468. I've still got him down here. I just think he'll be like a 50 guy. So only a tiny bit of value. Dogs still don't look amazing. So that's that. Elliott, 517. I just think that he will still get the massive minutes. Obviously a little bit colder on him, but if you did want to go up, it's Elliott. It's obviously Hosking as well, around that similar price. 517 for Elliott, 511 for Hosking. Elliott will do a good job, and someone you could hold for a long time given their bye schedule. All right. Center wing, gun pick. So you've got Val Holmes up top. You've got Marzu in there. Kiraz has been named at 605, which is good. And then Hammer at 600. You're obviously paying up for top points from Holmes and Marzu. With Kiraz and Hammer, you're hoping that they have some value on top of their price. So if you can't get all the way up, then Kiraz and Hammer are really cool options there in this team as well, which you can look at, which is cool. Not too much else to say. Like, Karaz, he's not dealing with the knee, he's dealing with a little bit of a back issue. So at center, do you want him there or do you want him making line breaks on the wing? That's probably the question as well. People seem to be divided on that one. I think a lot of people want him in Supercoach on the wing. I think that he's good in the centers as well. He can get, set up Blake Wilson on the right. I think with try assist is going to be cool. Or he could have line break try assist, that kind of thing as well. And if he's running some good lines with Preston there as well, and with Hutcho hitting him, I think he can do well. Hammer, obviously fullback upside, and we saw the fullbacks on Sunday do really, really well. But the bye round 3, something to note there. The center wing value picks, guys, you got Taylor May, clear top dog. Nothing's changed there. Nothing really has changed in this section at all for me. You've got Hutcho in there. I think he'll do pretty well. He's 354, but you can fade him if you like. I just think he's hard to ignore. Roger, the percentage owned is crazy at that point, but can you fit him in at 540? I think he'll do well. Laybart at 465. I'm clearly looking at him in my side. I think that a little bit cheaper than some of the other options. And he looked great in the trial, and the Cowboys looking for a better start, just like the Roosters had in Vegas. If they can play as good as them, then he'll crush it. Penasini and Raymond, the kind of top tier of this value section. They could do a really good job this year. I see both of them starting pretty well. Penasini looked like he's going to have an improved season at that. Fullback gun, guys. You've got Ponga, 892, Drinkwater's left. You got Pappenhausen, Gutho, and Will Kennedy. I'm looking at Ponga. If you're not going for him, then Drinkwater's the next best, in my opinion. I think Pap you can leave for now, but obviously saving a couple $100K if you do go for him, and hope that he starts well without the goal kicking, likely. But I'm very interested to see Ponga tomorrow night. He'll be my vice captain, and hoping to go 130 plus. That'd be nice. And we can have a good start to the year after a couple of average scores and missing Benny, as I said. But yeah, Drinky will be good. Pap, Gutho, really, really solid. I'm looking to pick him up a little bit later if I do. And then, Kennedy, we know he can start really well. He's got a 70-odd average over the last 4 or 5 years at the beginning in the first 5 or 6 games. All right, let's move to the cashies, guys. And the hooking stocks are not great. Hands, Lustig, you still could select one of them. Obviously, Lustig at 313. It's not too hard to select on your side, given he's the starter, when you're saving not even 80K to get down to Levi. So I think Lustig is completely fine. He'll probably make a little bit of money, but not a crazy amount, given the minutes that he might get around that 50 to 55. It's a tiny bit rather than being a good amount of value. So Lustig is still fine to pick. Levi, obviously, at 238.9, and Malaisan there. Connor with little back, unlikely to get big minutes. Levi has the chance to get sort of the 40 to 50 minutes. Could be 30 though, and it feels a bit yuck. And as Wolford there to potentially change as well. With that one, you've got Aiden Caesar, the only sort of halfback cash cow. I don't really think you want to pick any of them. Maybe it's mid-range or bust. Obviously, Hutcho, you can select in that halfback position as well in the cheap spot. 5'8 cashies, guys. It's Flanagan, it's Galvin, it's Strange. He has the dual position, which we'll speak about in the center wing. But they're the potential options. I still think Galvin is a solid one if you're looking for a super cheap player that I think will play. I think he'll play from round 2 off the bench, but if anything happens, he'll be in that starting team, and or if he just looks better, and that's the way that Benji wants to play. He was talking about it. If you're young enough, you're good enough. Good enough, you're young enough. Old enough. From forward, cash cows. Sam Hughes and Henry I've got up top. That's likely how I will go on my bench. Starters already picked for myself. I did end up going with Totola. I wish I didn't, but I suppose it probably wouldn't have been as good to go Lenu. Anyway. In the head-to-head side, I changed Corey Jensen to Spencer to free up some cash. So that didn't work out as well, did it? And I was pretty high on Jensen. For anyone that did take him, I hope it was because of my video, because I was the only one sort of spruiking him. But yeah, the extra minutes for him, the extra minutes for Haas obviously helped them out. Hughesy, Henry, both should be fine. I think you'll get more than that 16 minutes, but we'll have to see. Sorensen not back yet either, so who loses the spot? Is it Eisenhuth or someone that goes out of the side when Garner moves to the bench? We'll have to find out. But Henry, I think he's going to play across the season at some point. I'm going to back the upside of him. If he ends up getting a spot at some point, everyone's going to want him. If he manages to get into the starting side through injuries or through Origin, everyone's going to want him as well. So that's that. Vili Fafita is the dual position guy at 204k. It does feel a little bit gross with sort of Lucy back next week now that he's been shortened 1 week. And Laurie isn't super fit, so there's potentially some minutes there for Vili Army there, but yeah, it does feel a bit gross. But the dual position 204k for a guy that's on the fringe, 17, 18, does sound all right, doesn't it? Royce, it sounds like Braden Hamlin-Uele is going to be back in the next few weeks, so I think that pushes Royce Hunt's ability to do really well on this side and the minutes away from him. Is it just one stint, or is it sort of like 15, 16 minutes at the start and then comes back for another 10 or so? That's the question mark there. They have a big four forward bench, so a few question marks, as I said. Mariota at 255.9. He is on the bench, so not starting. So I think you leave him out at this point. The two RFs, you got Smithies, Joe Chan, and Alex Seyfarth. I think going Smithies is a fair play to begin the year, given Horsap's going to be out for a few weeks. Looks like he's going to tackle hard. He's going to run hard. So definitely look at him. I'm potentially looking at playing him this week as my 17th guy. Joe Chan at 238. I think it's very easy just to slot him in 2RF6 at 238k. Don't expect him to be there each and every week with Blore in the 18th man slot, but I think at worst he's a bench guy. We'll see on that front if he's starting rather than like Chris Lewis, and maybe he's ahead, and he did look pretty good in that trial, but running through the middle. So a lot happening with that one for Joey Chan. Alex Seyfarth there. Yeah, it's just one of those ones that he's a little bit expensive to grab round one. I think you can definitely look at him, but I do think that if he's the 50-minute guy, he has 10 points of value, somewhere close to that 40-ish. That's with his PPM dropping in the middle from what it was last year in the interchange, 32 in 29 minutes, so 1.1 PPM. So definitely look at him. I think 40 is pretty comfortable if he plays 50 minutes. Center wing cash cows. Xavier Savage is in there. So you got Salmon, Bostock, Torpicki, and Ethan Strange. So Strange is a must-have, guys. From there, I think Salmon's pretty close to a must-have in your side somewhere, 2RF or in the center wing. Savage, you could hit if you like. I'm not super excited about it. Bostock, I'd be more excited about. Not sure how things are going to line up with in the next few weeks with Savage and the like, with Rapana, with Seb Chris coming back. So they're all solid option. Bostock, I think, looked improved, and he's someone you could take a punt on. Tuapiki, not sure how many games we're going to get out of him with Chance, but it looks like he's definitely there for round one. Chance is nowhere to be seen in the extended, so good chance it is a few weeks at minimum. He's fairly cheap though, so it's an easier one to select. And really from there, that's probably it. So to finish it off, it's Keanu Keeney, but I don't think you can take a fullback cash cow, given a lot of us have either played one or two fullbacks, and your other fullback is like a Ponga or Drinkwater or something like that. So that's where we're at with all the potential buys, guys. So really, I suppose now you got to look at what's happening in your front row forward. Have you picked terribly? Have you got injuries? Yeah, how's things going in your 2RF? Do you have a Tupanua? Do you have a Peter Kura? Do you have cover for them next week if you want to hold them? Looks like they'll both be likely okay to play. Peter Kura, we have to worry about with him. He's had a bunch of concussions, so is he going to be back next week? That's the question mark. So check that out with your 2RF. Are you going heavy in the halfback? Are you going heavy in 5/8? What are you doing with center wing? Are you going for a top dog? Are you going for like Roger as your most expensive? Are you going cheaper because we can? And then obviously the fullback there as well. So that's the Supercoach video. I said I'll do my reveal tomorrow for the full teams. And I'm super excited for the Supercoach season. I hope the first couple of games were good for you, as I said. And we'll catch you in the next few videos. That was fun.